while you are waiting for the formal program with our head of school and that to begin. So my name is Michelle Cannon. I'm the assistant head of school here, and we have a few of our students here who will introduce themselves to you and just use this time as you're waiting to answer some questions that you may have about the U Academy, just as you begin getting to learn more about us today. So I'm going to have them introduce themselves, and then we'll open it just to questions that you may have for them.
Hi guys, I'm Dan Parker. I am a senior. Can you all hear me? Okay, yeah.
No, move it over.
Now? Okay, great. I'm Dan Parker. I am a senior here. I come from Jamaica Plain, and I was actually homeschooled before BUA, so, and I'm taking a bunch of classes at the university. I'm taking evolution and chaotic dynamical systems, which is really cool, and computer science. And I like to fence.
Okay. I'm Miles Goldenberg. I'm from Belmont, and I'm a junior. And at the university, I'm taking first semester Spanish, Bio 107, and then for academy classes, I'm taking American Literature and American History and Calc 2. And I really like the drama program at BUA.
Hi, I'm Allie. I'm a senior. I live in Brookline right now, but I used to live in Scituate, Massachusetts. I am taking at the university psychology of personality, arts of gender, and reading Shakespeare. And at BUA, I'm taking calculus, and I'm also very involved in the drama program.
Hi, I'm Mayrose. I'm a senior too. I'm from Dorchester, and at the university, I'm taking linguistic anthropology and Greek and Roman mythology, and at the academy, I'm taking women in literature and calculus. And one of the things I really like about BUA is I am really involved in LitMag, and that's really fun.
Hey guys, I'm Swayam. I'm a sophomore. I'm taking all academy classes, but I really like the sports program at BUA. I'm on the tennis and basketball teams.
So I don't know, while you're waiting here, if there's anything that you would love to ask the students about. They're here. They have microphones. I can't wait to answer them. Anything on your mind? Yes?
How are your commutes?
Commutes. So yes, Simon and Allie will hear you.
I mean,
Yeah.
for me, the commute's pretty easy because I live in Brookline. But I know a lot of my friends have to take the train for like an hour coming in. But you get used to it, and you usually have like a lot of people in your town that are coming in too, so you can go with a buddy.
Yeah. So I lived in I lived in Scituate for the first 2 years I was at BUA. So I took the commuter rail for an hour, and then I switched to the red line and then the green line. So altogether, my commute each way was about an hour 45 minutes. So it was a lot, but I found that like the train time was the absolute best time for me to get my homework done because it was really quiet and stuff. And yeah, like Swime said, like you get used to it. And so now I have a shorter commute because I live in Brookline. But it's just different, and you just have to find different like I just have to find now a secluded place to do my homework opposed to doing a lot of it on the train. So people just find different ways of dealing with all of that stuff.
I'm actually lucky enough to be able to bike in during the warmer months. It takes about half an hour both ways, and it's really safe, actually. That actually surprised me, biking in the city, but during the winter, I take the orange line from Forest Hills and then switch at Back Bay to the green line, and it takes about 70 minutes, 60 minutes, and it's a really good time to get homework done, as Ali said, or to just unwind after a day. So I'm pretty lucky.
Yeah. For how many of you was coming to BUA the first time you were really riding the T regularly? Other questions? Yeah.
Could you talk about how much independence you guys have in terms of how much you get to walk around the neighborhood and use different facilities besides just the academy building itself?
So the question is about how much independence the students have when they're on campus here. So if we want to talk, we can talk gradation.
So as an underclassman, you're basically in the academy for the whole day, and then during lunch, we come here to eat lunch, usually in the academy room. But now I'm a junior this year, so this is the first year that I'm able to basically go anywhere as long as I can be back for my academy and university classes. So like I can go to like a restaurant during lunch, or really basically anywhere as long as I attend my classes. So it's really a lot of freedom, and it really feels good as long as you can manage your time well.
And once you're a junior and senior, your flexibles are your schedules are a lot more flexible, and so some kids come in later because of university classes or leave earlier, and so once you're done with your commitments for the day, you can actually go home. So a lot of seniors and juniors go home early or come in later, and that gives you more time to, if you wake up earlier, you can do homework, or if you go home, you can take a nap or do more homework.
Yeah, even as an underclassman, we still have access to a lot of the BU sports fields and the cafeteria, obviously. Sometimes we take trips to the science labs. So yeah, we still have a good amount of access to the BU facilities.
Is there a dress code?
Dress code. We just have to be respectably dressed, but there's no like shirt and tie or anything like that. Yeah, which is good. Cool. Yeah.
If most of the students are spread out around the metro area, how often do you see each other socially?
So the question is about how often do you socialize with your classmates, given that everyone's coming from all over the place? Good question.
So for the first 2 years, you're like all of the underclassmen are really in the building most of the time, so you really get to know all of your classmates. And I think like my freshman and by the end of my sophomore year, I had been in a class with I think everybody. So that's sort of the time when you make your friends and you get to know everybody. And I was actually really nervous becoming an upperclassman with everybody's schedule spread out, especially this year that I wouldn't get to see everybody as much. But I found that most of us tend to gravitate back towards the academy building during our breaks anyway. And because I have a schedule that on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I don't have class for 5 hours in the middle of the day. So obviously a lot of that time I'm using to study, but when I need a break, there's the junior senior room. And I go in there and there are always people sitting there, and I'm always having really great conversations. So I actually find that I spend more time with my peers now that we're sort of all spread out for some reason.
After school?
Oh.
After school, like usually a lot of my friends and I will do something like in Boston. Like I think Boston is actually like a really great place for us to just meet up and like go to the movies or like a concert or something like that. So because generally I have friends who live in Hingham or Marblehead, and it can be like difficult to go to each of their houses. So generally we find that like meeting up someplace like Boston is like really convenient and pretty fun.
Yeah, even for underclassmen, I know like all the upperclassmen friends that I have, whenever they have free time, they do come to the academy building, and we kind of get, like during academic block or after school, we can maybe play some sports or get a bite to eat or something like that after school. So yeah, after school is usually the time where you can just hang out with your friends, take a minute to breathe.
Extracurriculars are also a really good way of socializing and getting to hang out with your friends while also doing something really cool and like building towards something. So I like to fence. I'm in theater. I do some other things after school, and it's one of the other ways that you can, stay in touch with your friends. And we have a lot of extracurriculars, even though we have a fairly small student body.
Yes, I know. I play soccer, and as a freshman, I've gotten to know a lot of upperclassmen as well as sophomores and higher underclassmen, and I've gotten to know a lot of great friends through there, and I got to branch out and really get to know a lot of more people by that way.
Just for those of you who keep streaming in, we're just doing this informal student panel as we wait for the formal program to start a little after 1. So, are there any kids with questions? It'd be awesome if there were. Yeah, there we go. Homework. How much homework do you get?
Well, as an underclassman, it's really about managing your time well, because like you can finish your homework in a good hour and a half. Most teachers aim for 45 minutes a class, but if you manage your time well, you can finish your homework in an hour and a half. If you don't, it could take longer. So it's really about just being responsible and spending the time that like getting your homework done when you can.
Oh, I know as a freshman that my homework is usually around 3 to 4 hours each night, depending on what classes I have in the morning. And I know for me, being a humanitarian person, I have more time to spend on math and physics, and then I take more time on that than I do on like English and history. But like Swayam said, it's all about just managing your time and just really focusing on subjects that you're not as strong in as others. And especially me, I take at least an hour for a commuter rail train, so I get a lot of homework done on there, and it's just all about finding the time to manage it.
And as an upperclassman, the homework, when you start taking university classes, the homework spreads out a bit, because in university classes you typically have like 1 or 2 assignments per week that you work on for the next class. And university classes usually meet like 3 times a week as opposed to academy classes. So the flexible schedules really help you out with that, where you have like blocks of free time to get your homework done. So it's not a lot of time at night. So the time management skills that you work on in freshman and sophomore year really help you in junior and senior year, so that you can have free time and get your homework done in a timely manner.
Yeah?
But I guess some of your homework, I guess, would be project work as well.
Yeah.
And I guess how much of project-based work with everybody all over the place.
So the question is, how much project-based work do you have, and how do you manage that when everyone lives everywhere?
Well, I remember when I was a freshman, a lot of it was reading. Like most of the homework we had every night was just reading and annotating, taking notes. And then as a sophomore, your work gets a little bit more spaced out, so you have maybe like a chem assignment due in a week or in a few days. Projects aren't as like we don't get projects as often as we did in middle school, obviously. But when you do, yeah, you don't get them that often, but you have to make sure you like plan out for them.
The internet can be your friend too. A lot of the projects I've had, or the assignments we've had to work on together, or even like learning lines for plays and after school programs as well. A lot of us will Skype in a big call together. And then sometimes like you can just stay an extra hour after school to work on it together. So it's never been a problem so far as I can tell, meeting together.
Also, like freshman year, we'll have lab reports in the middle of the year that are group lab reports. And for this kind of thing, like we use Google Docs or Skype or work on them together at school. So just being spread out doesn't hinder like work on projects too much.
I feel like in your upperclassmen years, you also get a lot more a few more projects at the university. Like some language classes have video projects. There are a bunch of lab reports for biology classes. I'm working on a presentation with a BU student for next week, actually, which is really interesting and really fun. So again, it's about managing your time and using the skills that you gain in your freshman and sophomore years to get your projects done.
Feel free to stream it into the front. The front row is just about open, so anyone who wants to sit up, come on up. Yeah, in the back.
For any of the students who came from a large public middle school, what was sort of the easiest and then what was the hardest part of coming to BU?
So the question is, if you've come from a big public middle school or large middle school, now you're transitioning to BUA, what's that like? Or hardest or easiest part, so?
Oh, well, I came from a very big middle school where everyone kind of got lost in the crowd. And coming here, I really been able to shine and kind of bring my interests to focus. And I've learned that a lot of students here are so welcoming to different students and are really diverse in the community. And I really love that because everyone just really supports each other here. And actually, that's been the most easiest transition for me as a person, because it's just been so welcoming that I really have never had to worry about, are people going to judge me? Are people going to look at me differently? Because I've come from a big school, and everyone here really cares about each other, upperclassmen and lowerclassmen.
I also would like to say that here, since the student body is a lot smaller, the bonds that you make with your friends are a lot stronger than they were in middle school. because you're spending so much more time with each other, and there's less of you, so you really get close.
Yeah.
Any of you have experience coming in as a junior rather than a freshman or so?
Any upper class, no, these are all new, they all came in as ninth graders. We typically have about, 3 to 4 students that might come in at the 10th grade level, the transition in, or maybe 1 or 2 students at the junior level. That will be new students then, but a majority of our students are coming in at the 9th grade, so we tend to have about 40 or so students that are coming in at the 9th grade level. There may be some students, I'll try to keep an eye out when we head next door for your family to talk about the older transitions. Yeah? go
What
ahead.
percentage of students play sports?
Percentage that play sports. I don't know offhand what the percentage are. I can tell you that there is no athletic requirement, so we do have physical education during the day that students can do, but for after sports activities, they're not required. Though I'll have the students talk about their experiences with the sports that they do play.
Oh, I think it turns out to be most people end up playing a sport. I know even people who don't play on teams at BUA will do something outside like dance or archery. And I mean, there's still plenty of people who don't do sports, but I think a lot of people do because it's just a great way to get to know people, and it can be really fun, and it's like not too rigorous compared to some like other schools.
Yeah, although we are a deeply academically oriented school, a lot of us are into sports. We do it more as a hobby, but we're competitive, obviously, and we have a lot of fun with it, and it's kind of like a pastime when we just need to relax. But like we do have sports teams, and a lot of us enjoy playing on them.
All of our sports are like at the varsity level, so but there are no tryouts. So like in freshman year, I just joined fencing because my parents were like, you should do a sport. So I just said, oh, fencing sounds cool. So I just joined it, and they taught me, and it's really fun. And Dan's on the team with me. And I found that not having a sports requirement actually made me enjoy it more, because in middle school we were required to do sports, and it was like a big thing. You have to do this thing, and I feel like that kind of kept me from really enjoying it, because it felt like a thing that I had to do. But now at BUA, I'm really enjoying fencing and sailing because it's something that I can use to blow off steam, and I don't feel like I'm required to be there, and if I don't show up, it's going to be like this big catastrophe. It's really fun.
Yeah, I feel like sports are there about as much as you want them to be. We've had some really, really talented athletes who have passed through here. A senior last year actually got gold medal in states for saber fencing. But if you don't want to be involved in sports, that's absolutely fine. I only do fencing. I try to split my time between fencing and drama as much as I can. So it's about as much there as you want it to be.
Oh, I play soccer here, and I've been playing soccer for most of my whole life, but I know a lot of my friends have just started, and they absolutely love it. And I was actually thinking about taking crew this spring, and I know nothing about crew, but I love how the community really encourages you to try new things and step out of your comfort zone, and you're never going to be turned away because you don't know how to play a sport. I know so many coaches and so many hardworking teachers will be there with you trying to help you, and all you have to do is really ask, and everyone is really there to support you.
Yeah, our crew team's really good, but if you manage your time well, your sports won't get in the way of your academics. And tennis 4-day commitment, basketball's a 4-day commitment. But you can get all your homework done and done well and still enjoy the sport you're playing at the same time, and it really makes life a lot easier at BUA.
For those of you coming in, the front row is open, so please do come up and find a seat. Don't worry about that. And we're just doing an informal student panel as we wait for the formal program to begin in about 5 or 10 minutes or so. So we're hoping to have some more questions come up for these guys. They're doing a great job. Yes, I was here.
So when you start having to choose your university course levels, what kind of guidance do you get? How do you come about choosing it? Do some of you choose engineering or SMG? Do you spread yourself out throughout those schools?
So the question is, when it comes time to pick courses to take through the university program, how do you do that, and what's the guidance in that process? So.
We have 2 college counselors who help us out with BU course selection. In junior year, a lot of people choose to take a modern language and this hybrid bio course that we have at the university. So there's a university professor and university curriculum, but you're only in lecture with BUA students, and your lab is usually mostly BUA students with maybe a few BU students in it. So that's a really nice way to transition you into the university. But those 2 college counselors and your academic advisor at the academy help you to choose the courses that you decide to take. In junior year, I went through kind of a crisis because I didn't really want to take bio again in the second semester. And so those college counselors, they really helped me to figure out what I wanted to take, and I decided to take Introduction to Sociology, and that was a really good class. So they're really good at like seeing your interests and getting to know you to figure out what the right classes are to push you into or to get you into.
I think one of the things that I really love about being able to choose most of your courses in senior year is that you can sort of decide whether you want to kind of throw yourself into one area of study, or like there are some of my friends who sort of like the system of having like a history class and an English class and a math class and a science class. For me, I was sort of like, oh, I just want to take more English classes. I just want to sort of move myself over into that area. So now I'm taking a psychology class and Shakespeare class and an arts of gender class. So I'm still sort of taking a variety of things, but it gave me the opportunity to kind of delve deeper into the things I was really passionate about.
What I was just going to add is that we have about, I don't know, almost 80 kids taking courses at BU, and they take close to 100 different courses. So I can honestly say no two schedules are alike.
And they're really allowed to choose from any of the schools.
As long as they have a prerequisite and they are, yeah, so if they have a prerequisite to do it.
Oh.
Over here.
My question was maybe you sort of have mentioned
Yeah.
that. Are you required to take university courses, or does everybody?
Yeah, so you are, the program is structured that everyone does take university courses throughout their time here. So that way, in the junior year, students will do typically 3 courses at the academy and then 2 courses at the university semester. In senior year, students can take up to 4 courses each semester at the university. So they're not limited by the university level, that level, but everyone does take them. That's a good question, I don't know. That was more of a practical. Yeah.
How large is the graduating class?
Yeah, how large is your graduating class this year?
This year it's 44. I believe it's usually around 40 to 50. Next year is around 40, I think.
Yeah. So we have 44 kids this year that are graduating. I'm gonna come over this way. Yeah, on the back over there. Yeah. Go ahead.
Just ask you to speak a little louder and so we can hear down here.
Got it. All right. Thanks. Yeah.
For the upperclassmen, what are your relationships like in the university classes? So for instance, are you socializing with college kids? And do you have relationships with professors in case you're struggling?
So the question is about the relationship that the students have at the university courses with the other students in those courses and the instructors and that kind of thing.
So in my Spanish class, for example, we do like a bunch of activities where we're like in groups talking in Spanish to each other. So through some of these things, I've actually gotten to know the kids in my BU Spanish class pretty well. And also, I know my professor pretty well. And for my biology class, the professor is pretty familiar with all of the BUA students because we're all in the same class together. So, I mean, I know some people don't end up, like, they're just in a class by themselves, and maybe it's just a big lecture class, so they're not necessarily that close with BU students. But, like, I generally have found that I'm, like, know them pretty well.
We also get to attend office hours with professors, and I found that's a really good way to build relationships with your BU teachers. And I've also been able to build some relationships with the college freshmen, sophomores, and juniors in my class.
Also, a lot of times if people really like one of the classes that they're taking and particularly really like the professor of their class, they often ask that professor to be the advisor to their senior thesis project. So that's also a really good way to build connections with those professors.
Also, like when you're in, when you're starting at a BU class, and the BU students don't know, like in my language class, in my Chinese class in junior year, it was pretty small. But when the BU students found out that I was from BUA, they were really nice about it, and they were really welcoming, and it wasn't really scary, and the professor was really nice about it. And it's not that different. You don't feel different in the class, and you get to really build a different sort of relationship with your professor, and you may be, as Ali said, you may be really interested in their field or their research or what that class is, and so that's another opportunity to explore your interests while you're taking university classes.
We have time for about 2 more questions, but it's okay if your questions do not get answered. There will be plenty of time to meet many people to get them answered. But I just want to take 2 more questions in the big room. Yeah.
What part does technology play in the classes?
The question is, what part does technology play in the classes?
Up until this year, we were using First Class to like get emails from our teachers, what the homework was, what the projects were, and what the assignments were. Now we just switched to Blackboard, which is what BU uses as well. So all our homework and all our like assignments are put up on a website that each of us have an account for, and we submit our assignments through that website, and then we can email our teachers if we have questions. As Ali said, a lot of us use Skype if we have like projects or stuff to do with other students. So yeah, technology's pretty well integrated into our lives.
In terms of like classroom stuff, so for example, physics is very like technology based. Like most of our assignments are online except for things in like a workbook. But for a class for like chemistry, for example, it's mostly like worksheets that we print out and textbook readings. So it can really vary from class to class. But yeah, for just like getting assignments and submitting papers, we use an online system, Blackboard.
I've been told we can take a few more questions in one, so you don't have to hold all of them. But if there are a few more, we'll take them in this group. Questions? Yeah, up front.
What's the structure of the school day like? How long are classes and how long is the day?
Good. What's the structure of the school day? So how long are classes? How long is the day? Good question.
So as an underclassman, you begin at 8 a.m. and you have 3 hour-long classes, and then lunch, and then 3 more classes in the afternoon. Plus, after that, there's academic block, where it's basically a time to, study, meet with teachers, get homework done. There is like some variation in your upperclassmen years, like you have gym or lab and physics, but usually it's 5 academic classes and 1 your art class. And as an upperclassman, you have a lot more freedom in your schedule from hour to hour. Like I had 9 a.m. free at every day, and that was a good time for me to get homework done. And it varies a lot more in your upperclassman year, junior and senior years. You have a lot more freedom, in other words.
Also, the classes are 50 minutes, so then you have a 10-minute break in between each class, and this is for to allow students who have university classes to like walk there or run if it's really far away.
Great. Well, I want to thank our student panelists for their time this afternoon, I should say now, for answering the questions. Now we're going to transition it. We're going to let them sort of walk to the side while we transition to the more formal part of the program. There'll be a little bit more. You guys have been doing a great job paying attention. Just ask you to sit here for 15 or 20 more minutes as we do some more formal programming before we head back over to the Academy building for the next part of the adventure. But thank you for being a great audience, and thanks to these guys for their great answers today.